Somewhere in the middle of Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, a yellowjacket nest the size of a basketball is buried about 2 feet underground. Inside that nest, somewhere between 3,000 and 5,000 individual wasps are going about their business, completely unaware that the Amish family farming above them is about to destroy everything they've built. And by sundown, the nest will be gone, every single wasp dead. The family will walk away without a single sting. No exterminator, no hazmat suit, no pesticide sprayer. Just knowledge that's been passed down through generations of people who had no choice but to figure this out on their own. Here's how they do it. To understand why this works, you first have to understand what a yellowjacket nest actually is, because most people have no idea. They're not building nests in trees like paper wasps. They're not making those open honeycomb structures you see in cartoons. Ground nesting yellowjackets, which is the type that most commonly terrorizes farms and homesteads, are digging. They start with a single fertilized queen in the spring, and she builds a nest about the size of a golf ball. By midsummer, that same colony can hold several thousand workers. By late August and into September, some colonies hit peak population, anywhere from 4,000 to 8,000 wasps, all living underground in a paper nest that they've constructed by chewing wood fibres into a kind of papier-mâché. That underground location is part of what makes them so dangerous. You can't see them coming. You don't know the nest is there until someone walks across it, disturbs the entrance with a lawnmower, or steps on it with a boot. Then hundreds of workers come out instantly, and unlike bees, yellowjackets don't die after stinging. They can sting multiple times, and they release a chemical alarm signal that tells the rest of the colony exactly where to attack. On a farm, this is a serious problem. You've got horses, cattle, dogs, children. A ground nest near a well-traveled path is a genuine hazard. But here's where it gets interesting. The Amish, who don't use chemical pesticides as a general rule, and whose whole livelihood depends on working the land by hand and with animals, have had to develop methods that actually work without any of that. And what they've landed on over generations is genuinely clever, once you understand the biology behind it. The first thing an experienced Amish farmer does when he discovers a yellowjacket nest is absolutely nothing. He marks the location with a stick or a stone, keeps the family and animals away from the area, and waits. The timing matters enormously for which method gets used, and using the wrong method at the wrong time is how you end up getting stung. In late summer and early fall, the approach is different than in spring or early summer. This is a crucial detail that most people get wrong when they try to handle nests on their own. A spring nest with a few hundred workers is a very different problem than an August nest with several thousand. The Amish know this, and they plan accordingly. For a mid-season nest with a full population, the method most commonly used is what you'd call the winter burial approach, though it's done in late summer when the colony is still active. Here's what it looks like in practice. The work starts at night. Not dusk, not when it's getting dark. Deep night, between midnight and 3 in the morning, when temperatures have dropped and the colony is in its least active state. Yellowjacket workers are not nocturnal. At night, the vast majority of the colony is inside the nest, and the cold slows their response time significantly. The farmer approaches the nest entrance with a shovel and with something that looks remarkably simple: a large flat rock, a piece of thick plywood, or a heavy wooden board carried out ahead of time in the daylight and left nearby, so there's no fumbling around in the dark. The entrance hole, which yellowjackets use to enter and exit, is typically small, often less than the size of a quarter, though it can be larger depending on colony size and how long they've been there. The move itself takes about 10 seconds. The board or rock goes directly over the entrance, and then heavy stones or soil are piled on top of it immediately to create a seal. You're not trying to kill the wasps instantly. You're sealing the colony inside with no exit. Without access to the outside, the colony cannot forage for food. Within a few days, the colony dies from a combination of starvation and CO2 buildup as the thousands of wasps consume the oxygen inside the sealed chamber. There's almost no window for things to go wrong if the timing is right, because the wasps that are inside the nest at 3 in the morning are moving slowly and aren't immediately alarmed. The entrance is sealed before any workers can respond. The few wasps that happen to be outside the nest at night, stragglers, are essentially stranded and will die by morning. By morning, the farmer checks the seal. If it's still intact, the process is already working. After 3 to 5 days, depending on the size of the colony and the weather, the nest is dead. Then comes the second phase, which is optional, but something experienced farmers do as a matter of habit: excavation and removal. A few weeks after the colony is confirmed dead, they dig out the nest, not because they have to, but because leaving the structure in the ground creates problems. Dead nests attract other insects. In some cases, a new queen will find an abandoned nest structure useful. On farmland, you want the problem fully resolved, not just sealed over. The excavated nest, when you see one, is one of those things that stops you in your tracks. The paper structure that these insects build is genuinely beautiful in a strange way. A layered, perfectly organised city built entirely from chewed wood and wasp saliva. Sometimes the size of a football, sometimes bigger. Many Amish families keep a dried one as a kind of curiosity. The kids treat it like a trophy. If you like stories like this, stories about old knowledge that actually works, subscribe. We dig into these every week. Now, the nighttime burial method is the most commonly described technique, but it's not the only one in the Amish playbook. And it's worth understanding why different situations call for different approaches. For smaller nests discovered early in the season, some families use a boiling water method. This one is exactly what it sounds like. Multiple kettles of boiling water are poured directly into the nest entrance in rapid succession. Enough volume to flood the internal chambers before the colony can mount a defence. The boiling water kills on contact, and because it's poured at night, just like the sealing method, the window for attack is minimal. The key is volume. 1 kettle of boiling water into a large nest does nothing but make a lot of very angry wasps. The Amish who use this method talk about using 5 or 6 large kettles poured continuously, no pausing. There's also a dry version that some older farmers swear by. Filling the entrance with dry wood ash, shoveled in at night and tamped down firmly. The ash is caustic to the insects, interferes with their ability to excavate the plugged entrance, and acts as an abrasive that damages their exoskeletons. It's slower than the sealing method and less reliable for large colonies, but for a smaller nest in a location where placing a flat rock isn't practical, it works. What's fascinating about all of these methods is what they have in common. Every single one works with the biology of the insect rather than against it. The nighttime timing, the sealed entrance, the flooding, even the ash, all of these leverage the fact that yellowjackets are predictable creatures of habit. They use one entrance. They slow down in the cold. They can't just dig a new tunnel in an emergency. The colony is an incredibly sophisticated organism in some ways, and a completely inflexible one in others. And the Amish have been exploiting that inflexibility for a long time. There's also a practical wisdom about what not to do that gets passed down alongside the methods themselves. Don't use fire near the entrance. The instinct to burn the nest out seems obvious, but fire creates unpredictable airflow, can travel underground in unexpected directions, and most importantly, it panics the colony immediately and massively. Farmers who've tried it describe what happens next as a bad day. Don't pour gasoline. Same problem, plus you've now poisoned the soil and created a fire hazard. And don't try any of this in the heat of the afternoon, when the colony is at peak activity and peak aggression. The knowledge is also contextual in ways that a YouTube video or a Wikipedia article can't fully capture. Experienced Amish farmers can look at a nest entrance and make reasonable guesses about how established the colony is, based on the size of the opening, the amount of activity during the day, and the time of year. That information changes the approach. A nest found in May is handled differently than the same size nest found in August, because the August nest has much higher populations and much higher aggression levels. There's something worth sitting with here that goes beyond pest control. The Amish relationship to the land is one of continuous, multi-generational problem solving, without the option of just buying a product to make the problem disappear. When you can't pick up the phone and call an exterminator, when chemical pesticides are either unavailable or philosophically off the table, You have to actually understand the problem. You have to know the biology. You have to get the timing right. You have to pass that knowledge to your kids so they can handle it themselves 30 years from now. Most of that knowledge doesn't exist in any book. It exists in the memory of the people who live closest to the land and have the most to lose when they get it wrong. Modern pest control is effective. Nobody's arguing otherwise. But it has also produced a generation of homeowners who know almost nothing about the creatures they're trying to eliminate, because they never had to. Call the number, sign the contract, done. The Amish, by working within constraints that most people would find suffocating, have arrived at something that modern pest control companies are increasingly trying to sell back to people as integrated pest management and eco-friendly approaches. The Amish have just been doing it their whole lives without a brand name attached. The colony that started this story, a few thousand Yellowjackets living under a field in Lancaster County, was sealed on a Tuesday night in late August. The farmer checked the seal on Wednesday morning, still intact. He checked again Thursday, same. By the following weekend, he dug out the entrance and found nothing moving. He excavated the nest a few weeks later, kept the paper structure, showed it to his kids. The field was back in use the following spring, the same way it had been every spring before. There's another one on screen if you're not done yet.